Welcome, everyone, to the Salt Lake City finale of the Monster Energy Supercross Championship, part of the Super Motocross World Championship. We would first like to welcome the Utah Sports Commission and their president and CEO, Jeff Robbins, Monster Energy, Fly Racing, our athletes, the teams and OEMs, our live streaming audience, and of course our broadcast partner, Peacock and NBC Sports. Broadcast details for the weekend will be as follows. Race Day Live will be streamed live tomorrow starting at 11 a.m., 1 p.m. Eastern. The pre-race show will be live on Peacock starting at 4:30 local, 6:30 Eastern time. The racing will be streamed at 5 p.m. local and 7 p.m. Eastern. And the racing will also be streamed on it will be broadcast live on USA at 5 p.m. local and 7 p.m. Eastern. And please share all of those details on our social platforms so we can get the largest reach possible. Thank you in advance for that. The Spanish language broadcast will be broadcast domestically on Telemundo Deportes Facebook, YouTube, and X accounts, and available internationally via the Super Motocross Video Pass. The French language broadcast, new for 2025, will be available internationally via the Super Motocross Video Pass as well. We are going to immediately go straight into the athletes, and first up will be your 250 West Divisional Champion, Hayden Deegan. It's okay, you can be on your phone. We won't yell at you. Yeah, wherever you want. So Hayden, first, congratulations on your 250 West Divisional Championship. Can you tell us a little bit about your mindset coming in here? The pressure is off, but of course you're such a competitor. We know you still want to win. So is there any thinking about pro motocross yet, or are you locked into this weekend?
I know, it's pretty nice having the championship wrapped up around early. It's literally like I have no stress at all. And yeah, I'm just going to have some fun. And obviously I want to win because it's still 50 G's to win. So yeah, my goal is to go win and do whatever it takes.
So we'll open up to the media. We'll start with Michael Lindsay.
Hello. Hayden, fourth professional championship, 2 SMXs, a pro motocross, and now a divisional supercross title. In terms of record books, divisional supercross titles are looked down upon as maybe the lesser item, but you're the kid that we saw riding a supercross track in his yard since he was on 65s. I heard you last week and being like, finally, I know it's taken maybe a little more time. For you personally as a rider, though, where does that title rank in?
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked to finally get a supercross one. I feel like I wanted to take off all 3 on a 250. And I feel like the SMX one is a big deal since it's like you have 3 rounds, so it's pretty much top dog in that one. But the OG SX and MX is kind of like where I feel still is like the legendary titles to have. So I had to get those, and that's why it was such a relief finally getting the SX one, especially last year. I broke my wrist right before the first round, and then I got second in points. I think I lost by like 4 points. So it's been a chip on the shoulder, and yeah, we finally got it off.
Follow-up for you. The SMX ones, like you said, are very short, very intense. Pro motocross is a grind. What different lessons have you learned in a supercross championship? What have you learned from this title that you didn't, learn in the other prior ones?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is how consistent you can be. I've been on the podium the last 8 rounds, and that was the main thing, is just every weekend be on the podium, and I figured I could win the championship that way in Supercross, and made it work.
Hey, are you guys asking a question?
Scott Yarger, Moto now. Hayden, what was the relationship like with Cole this week?
Yeah, we're still friends. Cole knows that this is not a teammate sport when you line up on that starting line. It's a 1v1, literally. A 1v21, pretty much everyone out there. But a teammate is someone you train with at the track. A teammate isn't someone that you race with. He's out there. He wants to win. He's not my friend either when he's out there, and he's trying to take the wins from me as well. So teammates, when you're out on the track, it's off. It's time to race, and teammates are meant for the practice track or at home training.
Dan Beaver, NBC Sports. Obviously, if you're up for the win, you're going for the win. But knowing that the other 3 guys have a championship to wrap up on the other division, do you race them any differently this week?
Nah, I'm gonna race them exactly the same, and I'm not gonna be nice or anything to them. I don't really care what they're in, and I want to win. So, like I said, I mean, this weekend or last weekend, I kind of ran it in there on Cole a couple times, let him know I was there. And if you don't get out of the way, then I'm going to do what I do. And I'll do the same thing this weekend, too, if I have to. And it's, I mean, if you're in a championship hunt, that's cool. But I also want to win.
Just to follow to that, last year you were the winner of this race, and I think it got overshadowed because there was so much championship talk around this weekend. Where is your mindset? You think about a year ago, you didn't win this title, and all the success you've had since then going into this round. Can you reflect on then and think about where you're at now?
Yeah, I feel like last year I was kind of the guy, I feel like I was like Hayden's supposed to win. And when I was at the last round, I kind of wanted to prove a point like I was going to be the top dog coming into outdoors. And that's what I did last year. And I feel like this year I've kind of made, a statement winning the championship that I'm still on top. So I obviously want to come win this round because that would be really cool.
Hayden, Clinton Fowler, SMX Insider. Looking forward, you took last year's Pro Motocross title. What does it mean to win that again, and who do you think is going to be your primary competition?
Yeah, I'm excited for outdoors. That's where I feel like I'm at home, and that 35-minute moto, I feel like a dog in those, so I love it. And I don't know, this 250 class is pretty gnarly. There's literally coming into the last round on the East Coast, there's 3 different guys that can win the championship. It literally shows you that anyone at any time can win. So this field's stacked, and I mean, I'm not sure. Really, it depends. I feel like last year's a bunch of random different guys that would be kind of up there with me sometimes, but I kind of want to do the same thing as I did last year, just dominate.
Colin Cole's the Daily Utah Chronicle. What's it like for you to be out in Utah for this race? And like you said earlier, being relieved of the stress. Going into this race, like, again, 3 riders on the East, going in outdoors. How are you going to manage this week, looking into outdoor season, knowing you have the title in your hands? What are some things that you're looking for? And then being in Utah, how is it to race here?
Yeah, Utah is an awesome state. I love it. I'm from California, so not too far, and I've been up here a few times, and I love it when I'm out here. Super pretty, mountains and everything. So it's a good environment, and yeah, I'm excited for the race. I'm sure it's gonna get wild because those guys on the East are going head to head. So I'm ready to get in the mix.
Hey, Alex Gobert, MotoOnline.com. When you think back to the path to this championship, the ups and the downs, what do you reflect upon the most, and what was the real standout moment for you?
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's been a few up and downs. I mean, I kind of got the taste of that last year, coming with a broken wrist, crashing at the first round. And I feel like this year's been a whole lot better, just a whole lot more consistent. And I'm just happy I've been able to stay that strong and consistent this whole season and just stay away from major mistakes besides, falling on the start of the first round. I haven't really had any massive mistakes, so that was kind of the thing that I enjoyed the best.
Lurch with Race Day Live. With the multiple East-West showdowns, has that helped you gauge where you might have been on the other coast?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've raced them a couple times now, and I don't know, it's kind of up in the air. When we all go racing, like qualifying at times kind of go away because guys that qualify like 5th will be able to run first place speeds. So you can gauge it, but honestly, I go into each race thinking I'm the fastest, and that's just how I've been since I was a little kid, and that's how I race. So the goal is just to win and figure out what's going on behind me.
We have time for one more.
Yeah, next to with MotoOnline.com for Hayden, just talking about how we got to this point as well throughout the season. You know, you're with Christian Craig, no longer with that as well. Just the changes throughout the season, just take us through that, the decisions you made that sort of reflected in, you winning in Denver.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely switched up the program a little bit at the beginning of the season. I don't know, I just feel like I needed to be a little stronger, and I got that. I mean, obviously it started off a little slow this season, and I feel like I'm slowly progressing where I should be. But yeah, Christian and Ben and those guys that helped me preseason, obviously big thanks to them because it's a lot of sacrifice. And yeah, but I'm happy where I'm at.
Thank you, Hayden.
Good.
I'd like to invite our 250 Eastern Division Championship contenders. First up, Tom Vial, last year's champ. Seth Hamaker and RJ Hampshire. Thank you, guys. We'll start with Tom. You won this championship a year ago. Much different circumstances. You had, I believe, a 15-point lead coming in. This is going to be a dogfight tomorrow night. Can you think about where you were going into Pittsburgh, it seemed like your back was up against the wall a little bit. And how do you feel now, much closer to winning your second championship?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm pretty happy to be there. Last 2 weeks ago, the win was really important for me. I had to do it to be right there, and yeah, like you said, a lot different than last year. I had a nice 15 points gap, and now I mean the goal is, I think, pretty easy. I have to beat those two guys to be able to win the championship. So that's only one thing in my mind, and I'm gonna do everything I can tomorrow to do that.
Thank you. We'll open it up to the media.
Michael Lindsay from VileMX for RJ Hampshire. RJ, I believe tomorrow night will mark your final 250 professional career race. How's it feel at this point? I mean, you've been in the class a long time. You've accomplished a lot. Is it a feeling of ready to move on, or are you going to really miss it at this point?
I mean, it's easy to say you're ready to move on. I've been around a while, but luckily I won't be 30 race to race in 450 class or 250. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to this next chapter, but, really focused on tomorrow. A lot's gone into this. It's been a, grind of a year. So, yeah, all comes down to tomorrow night, and, just thankful to be in this position.
Last follow-up for you. You said it's been a grind. You guys have all faced unique challenges this season, but we know particularly you, even coming into the season, had quite a few challenges against you. Coming into the Pro Motocross Championship, can you confirm if you will be at the first round with some of the injuries you've faced?
Yeah, I plan to race all 11 rounds and SMX rounds.
Dan Beaver, NBC Sports, for Seth. There are a lot of moving parts this weekend. It's not simply winner take all because of the West guys in there. Where's the nerve level sitting next to the two guys that have already won a championship?
Yeah, I mean, I'm up against both of the defending champs from last year, so feels like an honor to be racing them, and I'm ready to go out there and just put my best foot forward each and every time on the track. First time being in this position in a championship fight, so it's what we work hard for. Grateful to be in this position, and yeah, I mean, we got East-West showdown, so we have guys from the West, and obviously us three going for this championship, so gonna have to kind of outweigh the situation, kind of how the start plays out tomorrow night, and see where we're at. But it's not over till it's over. Just got to remember that and fight all the way till the end. And just if I do what I've been doing, I feel like I have a good shot at this.
Justin Schuler, Athlon Sports. For all three of you, really, this is probably one of the tightest championships we've seen in a while. But with the West coming in, you kind of touched on it a little bit there, but what is your guys' mentality going in? Because you guys have fought against each other all season long, and now with that kind of curveball coming in with the other division, is this approach a little bit different, or do you have to plan slightly different, or do you just try to fight each other through the race?
I was tied last year coming into here, so there was nothing more stressful than that. I mean, I slept great this week, had a good week. Yeah, all my nerves, I think, kind of were settled last year, so. Like they've all said, it all comes down to one main event, 15 plus 1. Put yourself in the best position possible. I'm ready to go.
Alex Gobert, MotoOnline.com. Oh, sorry, was there more? Yeah, Alex Gobert, MotoOnline.com. For Tom, you seem to be peaking right at the right point of the season. So tell us about that, and do you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not always easy to do it. I felt great last weekend. 2 weeks ago for the last race we had, and it was nice to finally grab the win, and I was really happy about it. And yeah, we'll see tomorrow. That's like RJ says, one race, one 15-minute main event, and then a lot can happen. But we're gonna try to put, myself in the best position all day, and then of course try to deliver for the main event.
Scott Yarzo, Moto Now. RJ, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but being in this position last year, are you completely nerve-free right now?
I mean, you have nerves no matter what every race, but dude, last year was tough, really tough on me. This year just kind of more open-minded, and I feel like I'm in a better position than what I've been in all year, all season. This week was my best week I've had. I feel good on the bike. Just to have
the goal was to be in this position when it comes to the final round, is to have a shot to go out and win and prove that, you can still win this East Coast championship. So yeah, I'm more grateful than anything. Like, I'm not nervous really for the fact to be in this position. Yeah, just thankful to be here and have a shot at it.
And do you think that gives you an edge over like the other guys? Like Tom had a big lead last year, and obviously Seth, this is his first time in this position.
I mean, it doesn't really matter when it comes to racing. When the gate drops, I mean, that nerves kind of go out. Like, we all want to win. Just we're in this position for a reason. So yeah, best man, win this tomorrow.
Michael Antonovich with Course Heading. This will be for Tom. You've won multiple championships and been in this high-pressure situation, knowing the day is coming. But how do you approach the week? Do you run through the scenario multiple times? Do you envision the track map in your head, or do you just let the process come on Saturday?
Yeah, I actually had the same in 2022 for my last MX2 World title. That was down to the last moto. I had to win the last moto, and I could deliver, so it was nice. It's not always easy. I think every year, every championship is different. And this is a Supercross one, so it's also a little bit different. But yeah, I had a good week. I felt great on the bike. Tried to do some testing a little bit because we ride some altitude. So the bike's a little bit slower, and then we try to make the bike works a little bit during the week. And I had a great week. So yeah, we'll see how we feel on the track this afternoon, and should be good for tomorrow.
Question for Seth. Clinton Fowler, SMX Insider. Seth, it's been 8 years since the Pro Circuit Kawi team has brought home a Supercross title. Is there any added pressure for you going into this race to bring one home for the team?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be just super awesome to get that done. It's been a long time. So, yeah, obviously that stuff runs through your head. And I just, instead of using that as added pressure, just kind of use it as more motivation and, more fuel to the fire to go get this win tomorrow night. But, yeah, I really want to do it for Mitch and the team, and everybody works so hard, and for myself, obviously. But yeah, that would be a dream come true for sure. And tomorrow night, hopefully, we can slap one on the door.
Tom, I have a question for you. Colin Coles with the Daily Utah Chronicle. What are some emotions that you're feeling right now? I know you've been through this situation before. You've won this event in the past, but what are some emotions? You're sitting next to the two guys that could take that from you, but you have that 1 point and that 3 point lead above the two of them. What are your emotions right now?
I'm happy to be here. So once I moved to the US, my goal was to win one day the Supercross title, and I could do it for my second year last year. So that was already a dream come true. And to be here the last run for the following year with the red plate is pretty amazing. That was my goal when I moved from Europe to the US. To be able to win a Supercross title, that was really why I came here. And that's 2 years in a row that we are fighting for it again. So I'm really happy to be here. It's going to be a tough race tomorrow for all three of us, but I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to give everything I can to achieve a second one.
Thank you.
Final one for Seth Hamaker. Seth, your two opposition up there, they have both been at this a long time. They have, as they said, they've both been in a very pressure cooker situation. This is your first time in it. Where you were preseason with injuries in the past and other things, I know every rider has a lot of belief in themselves and they want to race for a championship. So coming into this race, do you feel the same pressure that they probably have? You feel like they talk about feeling in their prior runs? Or is there anything you can fall back on them like, hey, maybe I didn't expect to be here this year. I'm just reveling in the opportunity. How do you balance out the emotions? How do you personally think right now?
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, making the move to Florida and, changing a lot in my program, there was, the plan was just to kind of get through the season healthy and just build on each round. And here we are at the final race, have a shot at the championship, which, you always expect to be in this position, or like you want to be in this position, but you don't know when the time will come. But here we are now, and, this is the position. And I feel like, these guys have been in some, championship battles, and each of them have, the record to show for that. But, for me being my first time, I'm just going to go out there and, try to win the race really, and just not try and overthink anything. Because, if I thought I'd be in this position at the beginning of the season, I don't know if I would have thought I would be. So, it's just cool to be in this position. We work hard for it, and maybe not as much pressure, but I put a lot of pressure on myself to get this done. And one race to do it. We came this far, so going to give it everything I have.
Sorry, one little follow-up. Any words of wisdom from Mitch this week or a funny comment?
Nope. Just, he believes in me, and the whole team does, everyone around me. So just with that, I feel confident and with everything in the program. So I'm just excited to go out there and see what I can do.
Thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations on a great season, and good luck tomorrow evening. Up next, we're going to recognize a racer who's been around here a long time, and he's going to likely make his final Monster Energy Supercross appearance, and that is Kyle Chisholm. Kyle, please come up. Wherever you want. So, Kyle, I have a question for you. If you had to grade which is more important, is it going to be going out on a strong note tomorrow night, or would it be passing Nick Way and I for the most combined LCQ wins? Because we're all tied at 14 between 250 and 450.
Yeah, for sure the LCQ is the most important.
That's what I suspected.
I gotta take you down.
Seriously, though, you think about, a couple of decades of racing, this championship, and it's hard to really combine all that into one thought. But when you're going through those final laps, and we've seen Phil Nicoletti attempt to retire a couple of times, Adam Cincerello here a year ago. What do you think your emotions are going to be like when this is all concluded?
Honestly, it's mixed. Like, I've had that all year. Like, it's like some relief, right? It's been a long time of racing, and sometimes you out there and you see the whoops and you're like, I'm definitely scared to go through those things, but it's my job and I have to. So some of those things I won't miss that much of, like, it's just mixed. Some relief, happiness, sadness. I'm going to miss it. Like I said, I wish I could race forever, but obviously I can't. So, just mixed emotions.
Open it up to the media.
Michael Lindsay, Valmex. Kyle, our sport is super unique in the fact compared to maybe like a stick and ball sport where your career can be ended when somebody, they choose not to re-sign you, put you on a team. Racing, you could literally do what Phil does and just keep finding a different country to race in or go buy your own bike and race next year. And I've asked a few riders this, the fear of missing out is unique. Our sport, because you have so much power to basically go back out and line up. Somebody like Adam last year has cold hard quit, while Phil and our guys have come back. In this position now, how certain are you of your decision? And if you are certain, can you tell me what this year has maybe made it a little bit easier for you?
I don't trust myself to just quit completely, right? My wife laughing because she knows me. That's why I've said this is my last full season, doing all 17 and all full year. I love racing. Like I said, I wish I could do this forever. If I could, I would, but obviously my body's not going to let me do that. So, honestly, I foresee myself still doing some races, in the future. I'm still doing playoffs this year. That's the plan. Maybe do a couple outdoors before that. And then, even like what Dean Wilson's done this year, I love racing, right? So I'd still love to go do some races around the world, right? And, but nothing's done, nothing's set in stone. I don't really have any plan 100%. I don't see myself just cold turkey, never racing again like what AC's done. But we'll see what happens.
I appreciate the honesty, and I appreciate that we're not having 3 retirement parties.
I hope not, yeah.
Michael Antonovich with Course Heading. To follow up on that, you've been part of this generation. You've been part of this generation that has had so many changes. Like even your kids behind me. When you came up, there was no kids. If you had a kid, it was the end of your career because you were going to be 2/10 slower. What is it about the last 20 years where the mindset has shifted? And for a guy like you, Kyle, I remember seeing you going to Southwick with your dad driving the truck to drive a Yamaha. Like, what makes you want to keep doing it?
Well, it's definitely changed, like you said. When I started, it was like, nobody had kids. People retired earlier. I was like, man, I hope I could race until I'm like almost 30, right? This is back when I was, 18 years old. Even I'm back to the time like my dad was like, you can't have a girlfriend. No girlfriends around, around. No girlfriends, definitely no kids. So I kind of grew up in that era of things like that. But I think it's changed. I think obviously guys are racing a lot longer now. Look at like Eli and Jason Anderson and all those guys. So I think it's changed. It's definitely more of like I don't say a family sport because growing up it is a big family sport. My parents, brother, sister, everybody supported me a ton. So I think some guys did it, right? Some guys had kids. Like Chad was probably a pretty good example, where you could have kids and still do good at racing. So, for me, one thing that I'm actually really glad that I've raced as long as I have is my kids. My oldest one's 9. Obviously they're here today. They're 9, 6, and 2. And again, I always wish I could have done better in my career, but I think it's cool to be able to. They're at an age now where they can kind of understand what I do and appreciate, hopefully, what I do. So it's just been cool to be able to still race where they're old enough to kind of get what I do.
Steve, did you have a question in the back? I saw you trying to get attention. Please go ahead. Well, I'm trying to get you in because the microphone's far away from you.
We can hear you. Yeah, honestly, results-wise, no. I wish I did better. Like I said, I always wish I had done better. Growing up as an amateur, I, won not the most by any means, but a lot of championships, whatever. And a million people could say the same thing, but a lot of injuries at bad times, right? Like bad timing in my pro career. But it's part of it, right? That's just what we deal with. So with that said, I feel like I think I'm proud of whatever is that even dealing with a lot of that stuff, injuries, not having rides sometimes, doing racing on my own, I'd say that's what I'm most like. What I'll look back and be most happy or proud of is just never, not giving up when it would have been easy to just kind of throw in the towel and be like, oh, I'm done, I'll do something else. So, like I said, I love the sport. I'm a fan of the sport. I love what I get to do. So I think that's always what kind of kept me going. And all those times when there's bad injury at a bad time, whatever, I just, I said, my love for what I get to do kind of overcame the how it would have been easier just to quit. As far as highlight goes, I guess in the U.S., getting a career number, things that you wouldn't think maybe, because I don't have the championships and the race wins, right? But getting a career number back in 2010, I think it was, I had a great year, came off a big injury, and it was a good year for me. And then the other thing was just being in opening ceremonies. Back then, too, not like the last few years I've kind of, I want to say, lucked into opening ceremonies. Some guys injured, so they got to, get more guys out there. But back in like 2010, 11, 12 time, being in opening ceremonies, I remember as a kid going to Atlanta Supercross because we never had Florida Supercrosses besides Daytona, and like hearing, Jeremy McGrath and all those guys getting their name called out was like, dude, that would be so cool one day. So that, as dumb as it sounds, being in opening ceremonies, being like at that point in your career, was a pretty big milestone for me.
With the amount of years that you've had on a bike, I'm sure you've made some decisions that were good, some that were bad. Yeah. If you could give the cliff notes to these amateurs, the SMX next kids coming up, what would be some of the key things that you would tell them?
We'll be here all day, but definitely a lot of, I don't say regrets, but like you learn lessons, right? And I think the reason you don't regret them, at least for me, is as long as you learn something from the mistakes, right? Because nobody's going to be perfect. But man, like I said a minute ago, you see so many kids coming up with so much potential, and within a few years, you're like, oh, whatever happened to that guy? Like he quit, maybe he didn't get a ride, so he quit and just went and got a normal job. For me, my love of my drive and wanting to do good and loving what I did is what kind of kept me going. So I'd say the kids coming up, man, just if things aren't going your way, a lot of kids have injuries and they lose their ride and then, they disappear. Man, if you want it bad enough, you're going to find a way to do it. So that's kind of what I had to do quite a few times. So I think, yeah, man, just don't give up. If you believe in yourself and you want to do it, you got to make it happen.
And if you've thought about retiring before, did you talk yourself out of it or did somebody else?
There's a lot of times in my career when I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. Most of the time it was when there's injuries and you're like, I just don't want to even. When it happens in that moment, you lose the motivation to like, you got to go through rehab. And, I've done my knees multiple times and it's 4, 5, 6 months, rehab. And you're just like, I'm done. I don't want to go through all that. And then the rebuilding. But again, you sit there and you're watching races. I'm a fan. You're like, oh, I got to get back out there. I want to be back out there. And that's why I don't trust myself to just never race professionally again. It's my last full season. And I know I'm going to be watching outdoors here in a few weeks as a fan at home and be like, oh, I want to get back out there. So we'll see what happens there, but yeah.
Do one more with Alex.
Yeah, when you are Alex Gobert, MotoOnline.com, you are recognized for your development type role as well, and obviously with the Twisted Tea Suzuki team. What's your thoughts on, in the future, potentially there being reserve rider type roles in the sport, developments, maybe fill in riders and be ready to go if injuries strike or that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think JGR kind of did that with Phil back, a few years ago. I think it's a good thing. Obviously, our sport, unfortunately, we do a lot of races and we don't have a lot of time off. And sometimes those injuries just compound for some guys, and you see a lot of guys, like right now, a lot of guys out. I think it depends on team. It's probably a unique situation, though. Do the teams need another rider out there, sponsor obligations and stuff? But for me, I enjoy testing, developing bikes. I feel like I'm sensitive to, feeling on the bike, so I think that's what kind of makes me good at, whatever you're going to call it, at doing that. So I think it's good. Again, depending on the team, if they would need something like that. But yeah, I think it's something that could be useful.
Thank you very much, Kyle. Congratulations on a great career. I'd like to now call up our championship contenders in the premier class for tomorrow night, Cooper Webb and Chase Sexton. First question for Cooper. Cooper, you come in with points lead, but probably not as big as you would like. Can you talk about strategy and how you're going to approach the main event, knowing that you don't necessarily have to win the race, but you can't fall off the back end too far either?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tight battle all season, so it's super cool to get here. It's fun to be in the hunt like this. It's fun to be close. But yeah, I think for me, it's easy to look at the what ifs and, sit back and do that. But I'd like to race like I normally race. That's what's been working for me. And I love racing here in Salt Lake. I've had a lot of success. So I'm gonna go for the win if it's there. Obviously, if it's not, you kind of adjust your race strategy. But I think for me, as long as I keep the normal mindset of going out there to try to win on Saturday, that's usually the best place to be.
Michael?
Cooper Webb, I've been thinking about this a lot the last couple of weeks, your championship position. I find this so cool. You have 2 titles right now. That's what Chad Reed and James Stewart had by the time their premier career was wrapped up. Both their titles as well had a gap between them, and neither of them were able to accomplish a 3rd premier championship, and they ended up racing basically a younger generation afterwards. You're now in that position. You're the favorite for it. I find that just from a fan standpoint, industry standpoint, like naturally I look at the potential 3rd titles potentially being maybe the greatest you've had so far because of that, because it puts you on a pedestal that some of the best that we respect in the sport weren't able to do. I know it isn't done yet. The motions will hit if they have us tomorrow night, but in saying that, do you agree that the 3rd one possibly could be the biggest one so far?
Yeah, it's awesome to think that, right, and to be 29 years old. I still feel great, like we always say, but it is, I've been pro for a long time, so to race the different guys, I mean, I remember when Chase came in as a rookie in 21, and that feels like forever ago, right? So I think it's really cool. Him, he's going to break a lot of records someday, but for the time being, hopefully I can take that step and get it done. But it is super cool, like I said, to race generational talents of, Eli and Kenny, and now it's the new guys with Chase and Jed, and then us older crew are still there. So I think it is by far the most competitive championship I've been a part of, and it'll be super cool if you get that done.
Short follow-up for you. In this championship, what do you believe is a lesson that you've learned now that you have in any other point in your career? What have you had to improve on the most to be in this position?
I think just you get better. As cliche as that sounds, that's like for me what you're constantly looking to do, whether it's speed, fitness, technique, starts, and I think that's just something this year that over time, you get better every year. And I think for me, I was good last year, but I've been able to also improve from even last year and clean up on a few of those different things. And it's just really cool to see. I never pictured myself racing this late into my career and at 29, and honestly, I never knew if I'd get another opportunity to be a champion again or put myself in that position. So I personally believe that, but it's not always the case, right, with the talent that we have and how gnarly this sport is. So I think for me, it's just something that I get to wake up and try to be better every day, and that's what I feel like I've done this year is been the best version of myself.
Alex Gobert, MotoOnline.com. For Chase, you come into this weekend with a minor deficit, but obviously an important one. When you look back on this season and compared to past years in your career, how would you rate it and summarize the past 16 rounds?
Yeah, for me, it's been a good year for me. I think compared to last year, I've grown a lot. Obviously, last year on a new bike, I only won 2 races, and this year I'm sitting on 6 so far. So we made a lot of progress. I think racing Coop, it's been different than it has been in the past. He's so mentally strong, and he really forces you to be perfect every night, and that's something that, for me, I think I've struggled with in my career. So I think he's forced me to be better in that aspect, and it's been really good. I think I've got myself to a better point in my career and as a rider and racer. So for me, I'm obviously in a little bit of a tough spot tomorrow night, but either way, I'm happy with how I've raced this year and the improvements I've made.
John Leone from the Daily Utah Chronicle. Cooper, you mentioned your previous success here in Salt Lake City. How does that, with the environment, the unique elevation, the mountains, what does that do for you from a confidence standpoint, and how do you think it sets you apart as a racer?
Yeah, like you said, I'm stoked to be here. It's one that, like I said, I was one of the guys that got to race here in the 2020 stunt. We were here for those 7 races, and every year we've raced here, I've always enjoyed racing here and loved Salt Lake, the town. It's a super awesome place. I have family here and friends, so when you come to certain stadiums that you just vibe with, and this is definitely one of them that I've had a lot of success and enjoy racing at. So yeah, weather looks great, and I think it's going to be a super fun weekend.
Yeah, Nick still with MotoOnline.com. This will be for Chase. Chase, like you said, there is a bit of a points gap there. For you coming into tomorrow night, is it as simple as I need to get a whole shot, head out there and lead, or hey, if we've got to play games to make this thing interesting, will you prepared to go down that route?
I mean, it just depends on what happens when you after the start, because you never can really plan a race out perfect. It's kind of have to wing it. And for me, obviously, I just want to go out there and try and win the race. That's my goal. So yeah, as of right now, just do my thing and see where the cards fall. But it's racing; anything can happen. But like I said, I'm going to need help tomorrow night to win. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Scott Yarjo, Moto Now. Chase, I think we were pretty close, one win away in Pittsburgh specifically from being a totally different scenario with you being 3 down. Do you reflect on that and have any regrets earlier in the season with mistakes or crashes when you think about the points deficit right now?
I don't really look at Pittsburgh as one of the races where, obviously, if I would have won it, it would have been a little bit of a different story. But I think the middle of the season, I put myself in a must-win situation coming into those last 5, and I think I lost a lot of points in the middle of the season. So I would have to say if I had to pick a certain part, it would be then when I was having those I was in a hole and I had to kind of dig myself out. So wish I could have done that sooner, but it is what it is, and hindsight's always 20/20. So for me, I think yeah, you can't really just look at Pittsburgh. It was a good race. We raced hard, and I feel like I rode well. So can't hang my hat on that. Just more disappointed with the stupid stuff I was doing in the middle of the season. But like I said, it is what it is.
Dan Beaver, NBC Sports, sticking with Chase. Can you contrast the 2 championship battles, chasing Eli, chasing Cooper? But things changed so dramatically in the first championship. This time it's been much more of a grind. Does that factor into how you ride? Does that factor into any of the decisions that you make?
Yeah, I think this one, I mean, they're all so different. Even outdoors with Eli, outdoors last year, Supercross in 23. They've all been unique, and I think, like I said, this one is different because I think Coop puts you in a position where you have to be perfect, and he's not going to make a mistake. He's going to sit there, and if the win's not there, he's going to get second. If the win's there, he's going to win. So it's kind of a situation where I've had to put myself in a spot to win races, and there was no gimmies. So I think that's cool, and that's what you want as a racer. You want to have a straight-up competitor and not have somebody that's going to roll over. So I like that, and I think, like I said, it's made me a lot better this year. And specifically in the last 5 or 6 races, I've been in a better spot. But all year, it's been a grind, and I think that's something that, for me, even going later in my career is going to help me a lot and something that I can use to my advantage.
Clinton Fowler, SMX Insider. Coop, you mentioned you've battled Eli Tomac, you've battled Kenny Roczen, Jet Lawrence, Chase Sexton. Can you talk to me about what it's been like to battle against Chase this year relative to those guys in the past?
Yeah, I think like Chase keeps saying, it's been it's also put me on my toes, right? Where you have a guy that has really executed well throughout the season, and especially as of late, right? It's put me at a vulnerable position sometimes where he has the speed and the ability to put me up against the wall a little bit. So with that being said, I think it has been unique, right? Like the last one was with Kenny, and then Eli before that, and obviously Jet too. But it's once again, it's hard because I feel like this truly is the best I've ever ridden, and sometimes even that isn't enough to win the race or be a second sometimes or third. So it's just super special. I think, like I said, when I look back on everything, this has been the hardest as far as like physically, mentally, emotionally, all like that. Like just putting yourself at that every night. I think I alluded to before, like there was races at least in 21 or even before that where you could have an off night and still kind of be on the podium. And with the way the sport is now, it just doesn't go that way, right? So yeah, I think, like I said, it's going to be special one day when, these guys, him and Jet, blow by my numbers. But for the time being, it's super cool to say I raced, in my opinion, the best in the world for the last 10 years.
Michael Antonovich with Course Setting. This will be for both of you. And Cooper, it kind of piggybacks off of what you just finished up with. Last weekend, I got to watch both of you guys roll out of the semi and just the way you went about things. You getting on the bike after Peanut gets it off the stand. Somebody said something and you said lock in. Corey hit the starter button on your bike. Your dad came over and said something to you and Jade. To see that up close is incredible. For you guys to live in that moment, what of the season will you remember of those times like that 20 years down the line? Like when you talk about that stuff, Cooper, what is that time for each of you?
I think that's just the competitiveness, right? I've been a lot more relaxed before with other competitors, so I think that's where it is. Like it's truly, you have to put yourself in a position of like war, right? Like you're headed to war, and that's how it's been every race this year, especially, early in the season when you're fighting for every position. I mean, I remember my bad race was A2 and I rode as great as I could, and it was 8th place, I think, right? And so it's a gnarly sport, man, to wake up every day, put yourself at the top of the sport and grind, and physically, mentally, emotionally, you're always dealing with something. So pushing your body to the limit there and staying focused every weekend is it's not easy to do. So I think when you do get these wins and at this point even podiums, it's like, man, you really kind of have earned them straight up. So yeah, I think that's what I cherish the most, right? Is it's not easy, right? If it was easy, there'd be 200 champions in the world. So I think that's what makes it super special when you are able to perform at the highest ability and get race wins and ultimately win championships.
Lurch, Race Day Live. Oh, sorry.
Let Chase jump in.
Okay. I think for me, I don't think you can find two more competitive guys going at it. I think obviously he wants to win and I want to win, but I think it's even gotten to a new level. I think as far as me, I'm super competitive, and I think he's the same way. So I think when you see that, it's very intense, especially before the main events. Everything's got to go right and in your way, and you just kind of go out there and put your best foot forward. But you got to be locked in to do that. So I think when you see that intensity, it's just two guys that want to win more than anything.
Cooper, with your second championship, Chase your first, it sort of seems like that would be the blueprint of what it takes to be a champion. Here in 2025, how have you had to change as a racer to put yourself in this position here?
Yeah, I look back at those when that was a cakewalk, right? Meaning not a cakewalk, but, it was a much different time and a lot less riders in the mix. And, I came here with, I think, 23 points or something like that. So you had a big buffer there. So I think as a racer, you just, once again, it's getting better, right? You have to mentally be better, physically, emotionally. The bikes are getting better. You got to start better. It's evolving. So I think for me, just being a better all-around rider is what I've worked on, and it's simple as that.
I think for me, just like he said, being all around better. But for me, I think it's different. I've always had the speed and ability to go out there and win, but I think there's been stuff that's held me back. And like I said, I kind of allude back to racing him. It's made me really fix those issues, and something that I'll always be grateful for. I raced Eli outdoors straight up in 22, and then it was kind of the same thing. But every championship you go after and every long season, it's not easy, and you get a lot better throughout the year, more than you could ever get practicing. So, like I said, I'm just grateful to be in this position, and it's a cool thing to get better through every year.
Michael, for the last one.
Cooper Webb, there was a comment that Chase made that honestly I feel most of us in this room have felt or said this about you in the past or at any point in your career is, hey, Cooper Webb takes the wins when they're there, he takes the seconds when they're not there. But also in the same breath, we talk a lot about your clutch performances, the nights that you kind of will things to happen. So when you hear those comments from competitors, media, everybody, do you think that's an accurate representation of your racing style? Or do you ever think to yourself, like, man, some of those nights, like, I really do have to force the issue, and I don't know if people appreciate that at times. Like I said, Jason, I know me as a caller, I know we've all pretty much have said that at some point, because that's kind of just a default that people think of you.
Yeah, I think it's a unique position, right? Like you said, I'm not no flashy or always going to be the fastest guy, but I think it's always a compliment hearing, good things like that, but it's the same way, right? Like, we all have our strong points, and I do think that's one of mine is to be able to handle pressure and perform, when the time is needed to perform and step up when you need to step up. So that's something that, I feel is an accurate assessment that I have for the majority of my career been able to do, and it's a cool feeling, right? There's times I wish, though, I had the raw, talent or speed of this guy next to me, right? But I think that's what also has made me step up on the other end is, there's some nights where you go to the gate like, hey, I'm probably in a position to not win. And I almost tricked myself into never thinking that, all right? Like, I don't ever go to the line thinking that anyone can beat me. So that's a good thing I have going on my side. And, hopefully I take that with me for as long as I can.
Thank you both. Good luck tomorrow night. I'd like to bring up the representatives from the Ryan Dungey Foundation. It'd be Lauren Kennedy, Ryan Dungey, and Matthew O'Shea.
Thanks, guys. Hey, guys, thank you. Thanks for having us up here. We got a check we'd like to present to the St. Jude campaign, Love Moto, Stop Cancer. As many of you know, the Ryan Dungey Foundation has partnered with KTM, and each and every year we give these KTM juniors a fundraising page, and they raise a lot of money. They do an incredible job. I'm really proud of them for not just being good on the track, but off the track as well and giving to these causes. But they got a big check they'd like to present. I'm going to let them flip it over and present it. One of you guys want to say the numbers? No? All right, go ahead. It's $12,247. And good job. And to date, I should say, these guys have raised, all the KTM juniors have given a total of $69,000 to St. Jude. So pretty incredible. Really proud of them and really setting the using their platform and resources for the good as they grow. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
Great job, Ryan. Great job to the foundation. A couple of notes there as well. Just a reminder on the 4 initiatives there. You can text the word SUPER to 785-833 as part of the Texted Donate campaign. The auction is still live, the St. Jude auction. There are 250 unique items, and you can go to supercrosslive.com/St. Jude to bid on those until Monday night. The Ken Roxon race bike hat, has been a winner. It will be announced tomorrow. So that's been a great program to watch all season long. It is actually Ken Roxon's race bike, so that is a pretty amazing thing there. And yesterday, the Rocky Mountain ATV-MC golf tournament raised $130,000 for St. Jude. So those are the 4 initiatives we wanted to make a reminder of. The last note, all of the riders that did not speak today will be on the track to speak to the media, as well as the top 10 East, the top 10 West, and the top 20 in the 450 class So they will be there from, I believe, 1 to 1:20, and then riding will commence at 1:30. So thank you, everybody, for being here, and enjoy tomorrow night.